following is a special presentation of the Sports Journey Network. Sports Journey.
Breakdown, and I'm your host, Dujunnea, and today we got a fun show, but I can't start that show without bringing in the boss, Carita Parks. How's it going, Carita?
It's good. Another day, more sport.
Indeed, and it's been busy, and we'll get started as we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Washington football team. Yes, they were able to get a win, but it wasn't pretty. Let's just say that. Late second field goal. Giants snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and Washington gets a second chance to win the football game, and they do just that. What are your thoughts on this football game, Carita?
It would have been nice. Okay, well, let me say this. I saw some good things, and I saw some things I wasn't a fan of. Let's just be realistic. A win is a win. But
True.
had Dustin Hopkins missed field goal stood, Washington would be in a completely different situation. And it concerns me that they were that close to a loss with the Giants. I'm glad they won. But coming off the first week, now what I did like is there was a lot more offense than I expected.
Agreed.
So, Taylor Heineke definitely moved the ball and the rest of the offense. As we know, the defense is not clicking in the way that we think that they should, or we're thinking coming into this season, like this defense is elite, but yet they just haven't reached that peak. But they shouldn't really be starting over. They should be taking off after last season. Not seeing much of that. But hey, glad Washington won. Like I said, a win is a win. But there's still some areas of improvement. And we have to figure out this kicking situation, because what if this is the playoffs and it comes down to a field goal attempt and Dustin Hopkins misses that field goal? And you're not
looking good
against an undisciplined team like the Giants.
Absolutely. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
Not looking good at all. And I'm going to go to the defense here, because that's my biggest gripe right now. You got Heineke. He's doing the best that he can. I think he's really injected some life into the offense. I think this offense needs a quarterback that has the ability to move and get out of his own way. But this defense, offensive yards per game, they are 25th in the league. They are 24th in passing yards per game with 281. They're 23rd in rushing yards per game, 126.5. And most importantly, they are a nasty 31st in third down conversions, allowing an average of 9. Now, for me, I'm blaming Jack Del Rio. Jack has had 2 games with defensive talent to make some noise, and they have not done that. Now, my biggest problem here is you have guys like Bostic who are out in the coverage again when we know that guy can't cover his own shadow. He's not London Fletcher at all. I'd rather see Jamin Davis out there covering and getting beat as a rookie than to watch a veteran who we know can't do that, get beat covering downfield. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not his fault. That's coaching, because you should know your personnel and know what they can and can't do. Secondly, why are we playing so much zone? Doesn't make sense to me. Got enough people to play man-to-man. You got a front seven that can get after it. If you stun a little bit, something else we refuse to do. But you're playing zones and allowing young quarterbacks to ginsu you. Most importantly, a quarterback that gives the ball away just as much as Eli Manning used to, if not more.
Right.
But every time he played a Washington football team, he looks like the second coming of Joe Montana. Oh. Get out of here.
All the time.
I can't deal. What's the problem, Carita? Do you think it's Jack or no?
Oh, no, it's definitely Jack. It's definitely Jack Del Rio and his play calling. You have so much talent on this defense. There's absolutely no reason that they should be coming out this slow. And as you mentioned, so the run defense is not up to par. It wasn't really up to par last season, though. That was the area that they struggled in, was run defense. Still struggling in that area. But this is an elite defense, and we are just not seeing that right now. But to me, there should be no reason why we're not seeing that. Last season, it should be building, and it almost feels like we're starting over.
Agreed. I can't agree with you more. I don't understand what's going on here. And I know people want to be like, oh, preseason doesn't matter. But that defense looked like they were humming. I don't care. Don't give me the crap about, oh, they were up against 2s and 3s, because they weren't. They were up against other people's number ones and dominating. So don't tell me you unloaded your game plan in preseason, because you didn't. They were doing basic stuff, which means if you can't do the intricate stuff, the more complex, then you should go back to basics. But like I said, I'm not blaming the talent. I'm blaming the coaching. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know how much more Rivera can take. Because at the end of the day, he can coach the defense if he wants to.
Mm-hmm. It might take that.
Exactly. So if you are not up to par, then why are you here? I don't need you.
$1 million question.
To me, he's got one game. And he needs to hit the road, because he's not doing his job at all.
Well, in my opinion, one game, it's like you had 2 games already. I mean,
true.
You don't have a lot of new pieces on the defense.
That's true.
So it's not like last season where you were trying to get to know your players and get to know their strengths. Yes, like there are a few, like Jamin Davis. There's a few new pieces, but for the most part, you have the defense that you had last season.
Exactly. I agree with you on that. I mean, I can't argue that point. I can't at all.
I'm not sure what we're doing. And you are seeing teams that you saw last season, i.e. the New York Giants.
Yes. Which they can't seem to beat in the last 5 years or more.
Mm-hmm.
So they faced the Buffalo Bills on Sunday at 1 o'clock in Orchard Park.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I don't see them winning this game. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't see them winning this game at all. Josh Allen, the mobility and his ability to make plays with the offensive weapons that they have is probably the best team that with the offensive weapons, I will say, that they have faced so far early in this season. And they've made 2 other teams look better than they should, in my opinion. Can they turn it around this week defensively?
They're going to have to, because that honestly is the only way, in my opinion, that they will beat Buffalo. They do struggle a little more against more mobile quarterbacks, but defense is going to have to be top notch and put some pressure on Josh Allen and force him to make mistakes. That's the only way, in my opinion. And then you got Stephon Diggs. Let's not forget about him, like, in the backfield. Right. So you're going to have to step it up, point blank, period, especially against a team who was also in the playoffs that season. Josh Allen has grown over the years. He's been getting better. So you have to put the pressure on him, and defense is going to have to really do their part this week.
Yeah, because I think they'll hold their own offensively. They'll hold their own. But this can't come down to a field goal, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see that. I don't trust Dustin Hopkins at all. But when we think about this goes back to not bringing in competition. And I've heard people's excuses. I was on a show, and the host made a case that Washington gets rid of kickers too fast, and then they go on other places to be great. Graham Gano, one of those. You can name 2 or 3 others that Washington has gotten rid of because they had a bad streak. Are we too hasty on Hopkins and not being patient?
I would say no, because Hopkins has had his struggles in the past too. Not quite as much as this, right, but he's had his struggles in the past. So I get the balance of trying to be patient, because for the most part he has been accurate for you. But you need to have, like you said, you should have brought in competition, or you need to have someone who is behind him and capable of making kicks, because we need to win football games.
That's what it boils down to.
That is exactly what it boils down to. So how long are you going to be patient?
I can't argue with that point at all. So your final prediction on this football game in week 3, Washington, I'm going to go Washington loses, and it's going to be a 31-20 ball game. Defense just can't get any stops.
I definitely think we're going to see high scoring from, well, I will say both sides of the ball. But I think Taylor Heineke is doing a great job, but I do have to see how he progresses over the season. Right. So this is like the first away game. You're going to be dealing with the pressure of the fans from the other team. He hasn't had that situation yet. He's a strong-minded guy. Don't get me wrong. He seems like he can handle it, but I don't know if it's going to be enough on Sunday. So I'm going to go. This is always so hard. I'm going to go Washington 24, Buffalo 30. I don't know why 38 is sticking out of my mind.
I can see it.
But that's what I'm going to go with.
Well, neither one of us think they're going to win. And I know a couple others that don't either. This ain't going to be easy.
It's going to be a tough one.
This ain't going to be easy at all. And they're going to have to find a way to change it big time defensively if they want anything to come out on that winning side.
Yeah, that's the understatement.
All right. That's it for this segment. When we come back, though, the New Orleans Saints. Who was that last week? We'll talk about it when we come back. Jameis Winston looked pretty amazing in his first game. Throwing 5 touchdown passes. Getting busy. Everything was clicking. Defense was clicking. It was all working together. This week, ooh, it looked like old Jameis Winston. And it looked like the Saints had forgotten how to play football. What happened to them against the Panthers last Sunday?
Well, for me, with Jameis Winston, my thing has always been, is he going to be consistent? Because that was always the issue. It was never he didn't have the ability to have good games, as we saw against Jacksonville in it wasn't against Jacksonville, it was in Jacksonville, but against Green Bay in week 1. But the question is always going to be, will he carry it forward consistently? So I think that we just saw the up and down nature of Jameis Winston, but it was the team as a whole. And what happened is a very good question. Now, Carolina's defense seems to be on the rise, so we have to give them credit there.
Absolutely.
And I just don't think that the Saints were prepared for Carolina in the way that they should have been.
It sure enough seems like it. I mean, you score 7 points the whole entire game. Jameis was 11 of 22 for 111 yards and 2 interceptions. Dude, I can do that. And I don't like to say that, but honestly, I can do that. Okay? That was inexperienced. It almost looked like even Sean Payton was not prepared. I mean, how do you go into a game and Alvin Kamara has 6 receiving yards, or 4 receptions for 25 yards, and he only rushes for 5 yards?
Yeah, like, I know.
What in the world is going on?
That's your cheat code. And
what's your game plan?
And you know what's crazy to me, that they went 3 quarters without scoring.
That
3
is
quarters
amazing. After throwing up 5 touchdowns, I mean, lighting it up, it basically on the road, because it was a bunch of Green Bay fans in that stadium. And you come out and look like you were totally unprepared, and everyone looked confused, and the defense is just getting gutted. Now, I understand Carolina's a good football team, and I think they're very much underestimated. I think they have a lot of young weapons on offense. I told people Darnold is going to be a good quarterback. The only thing we have to watch out for is to make sure this kid isn't shell-shocked because he got sacked so much. And he seems to be okay. He doesn't see the rush. He's playing good football. Their defense is underestimated. But still, there's a lot of talent over there in New Orleans. And obviously, New Orleans' defense has been known to be very inconsistent. But for the offense with Kamara, and I know you missing a couple, but you ain't missing enough to not do nothing.
Right.
I mean, basically did nothing. Embarrassing. I'm really starting to question Sean Payton, though. Because, see, even when he had Drew Brees, they had performances like this. Where
but
just out of the blue.
Drew Brees, you don't have Drew Brees anymore, who can make things happen.
Exactly. Can't bail you out.
I'm not knocking Jameis at all. I think he still has a lot to learn. But, you know, Drew Brees was an elite quarterback. I mean, that's just what it is.
Indeed. You know, I mean, we can't underestimate that. But at this point, you know what you have.
Yeah.
Jameis.
But, I mean, listen to this. They only mustered up 6 first downs compared to Carolina's 28 first downs. They were 2 and 11 in third down efficiency compared to 8 and 15 for the Panthers. and 0-2 in fourth down efficiency. The Panthers didn't go for it on fourth down, but they did, and they didn't accomplish it both times.
Completely outcoached.
Absolutely.
Completely outcoached.
But no adjustments either. Like, that's the thing. No adjustments.
Just like we just go on, keep our head down, and just keep doing what we're doing, even though it's not working. It's definitely clearly not working. So we gonna keep doing that though. Now they play New England, and I know people are all excited about Mac Jones and all that. I think it's too early to be having all that excitement. That's just me. But here we are. They're going to be playing the New England Patriots. They're 1-1 as well. Do you expect the Saints to have a rebound game here?
They should. Let me put it like that. They should be able to rebound against New England. Mac Jones is still learning. You should be able to game plan very well against them. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bill Belichick is a mastermind, but they should have a rebound game against the Patriots. If they don't, we got bigger problems.
Yeah. New England's defense is 5th overall in total yards, 7th in passing, 14th in rushing. Their offense, compared to the Saints' defense, their offense is 23rd in overall yards, 24th in passing, 13th in rushing, and the Saints' defense is 7th overall, 13th in passing, and 3rd in rushing. Their Saints' offense, though, 32 passing, 17th in rushing. That's definitely got improved. I'm not sure if who they were or what they showed last week is really who they were. You know the old saying, you're never as good as your best game, you're never as bad as your worst. So they're somewhere in between, maybe. But we're really going to see what's going to transpire here. I think they will rebound. I think the Saints will score 24 points this weekend, holding the New England Patriots to 17 points, and they'll get the win and rebound. But I think this is kind of what Saints fans should expect, especially in the early part of this season. I think there's going to be some fluctuation. There's going to be some highs and some lows as we go through these first couple of weeks of the season, as they try to establish some type of identity on offense. Now, I know that sounds funny to say because their identity should be running the football with Kamara. But it seems like Sean Payton still wants to go with the same old, and continue to toss it around the yard deal with Jameis Winston because he has an arm. It's tempting. I get it. But I think Jameis is at his best when you're running the football, play action off of that, then he can sling it down the field. We saw it during Green Bay. But Sean's got to learn that. What do you say?
I can't add anything more to that.
That is that, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be an interesting week of football. A lot of good games. So check them out. Should be fun. And next, we'll talk Washington Mystics. They didn't make it. What do they have to do going forward? We'll talk about it when we come back.
We are back. We are going to transition into the WNBA and talk about the Washington Mystics, who still had a chance to make the playoffs, but they came up short on Sunday against the Minnesota Lynx. They went home with a loss, 83-77. And it was a tough one. I was there for that. In the post-game press conference, the energy was just extremely low. You could tell how disappointed they were. And it's just been a rough season. It's been a taxing season, and I don't think it was just that loss. It was the totality of the season. All the injuries, never knowing who would be in the lineup. Natasha Cloud said it felt like it was speed dating. Like, hey, who are you? Nice to meet you. You're here today. Yeah. They just could not build that team chemistry. So that was one thing. Also, the Mystics just don't have the depth that they had that championship year. That was one thing that always stood out to me about that championship team. They had so much depth.
That was definitely noticeable.
Yeah, they don't have that this season. So what I saw is just the Lynx. They were relentless. The Mystics only had one lead in the game that I can remember. They were playing catch up the whole time. They did bring it within. They did bring it close going into halftime, and they brought it close in the fourth quarter. But it was always a little bit too late. They fought hard, but it just wasn't their year. You could just kind of feel it. You could kind of see it. Even if they would have made it into the playoffs, unfortunately, I didn't see them getting that far. They just don't have all the pieces in the place. And let's not forget, Coach Tebow had COVID the last 2 games, or he was in health and safety protocols. I don't know if he had COVID or not.
Right. That's tough. And you could definitely see that the season wore on them. I had an opportunity to see your coverage of that. And, when you were in the media room, I don't remember who you were speaking with at that moment, but she just looked really dejected and just tired. Mm-hmm. It's been a whirlwind for them, and I do agree with you. The depth is a major deal and something that is missing. Where do you think they can go from here as far as a team? Because I think they have the starters and the pieces to compete, but starters can't play all game.
Well, right, and that's the thing. What I saw is like Natasha Cloud, Ariel Atkins, Tina Charles putting this team on their back, but you just didn't see the same from everyone else. I would say they need. Well, if they get Elena Deladon back, they'll be okay. Who else was missing? Maisha Allen was missing most of the season, but she battled injuries and such. But she was there for the last game. So that's the start. They need all of their pieces that they do have available. And then you have Emma Meeseman, who didn't even make it this season.
Right.
So you need all of your pieces in place. That's first and foremost. Secondly, in the offseason, and this is what Coach Eric Tebow said. He's Mike Tebow's son. He was the one coaching them the last 2 games. But they need two-way players that can play both sides of the floor, both offense and defense, something that Natasha Cloud repeatedly brought up. She was like, we can score at will, but we need defense. We need defensive players, and their defense needs to get better. So just like their counterparts, that's what I was about to say, just like their counterparts on the NBA side, defense is something that they definitely need to focus on in the offseason and getting them one or two-way players.
Yeah. Because I don't think they'll have a problem rebounding from this. It's just a matter of how they build them going forward. And I think that's going to be a big deal for next season. But there's also something else going on in Washington that I saw you covering. FIFA in Washington?
Yes. So I had an opportunity. Well, let me back up a little bit. The FIFA delegation, they were in Washington, D.C. last week and the beginning of this week, touring different sites because they are trying to make decisions on where the host cities will be in the United States for the 2026 World Cup. Washington, D.C. is in the running. They made first of all, they have hosted 3 other FIFA events. One being the Women's World Cup at one point. But they made a really good case because in 2026, it'll be 4th of July. It'll be the 250th birthday of the United States. And Independence Day in D.C. is a big deal. So that was one of the huge selling points. They were like, people from everywhere are going to be here anyway. Then you add this event. So that's one of their huge selling points.
And they've got a beautiful stadium to play it in.
Well, the stadium that they would be playing in is actually FedEx Field.
Really? So why not the soccer field that they have downtown? Is that not house enough, folks?
That's probably the issue. That didn't even come up as an option.
Wow.
I think it's how many people it houses. They are going to use the soccer field like as a training facility if they choose DC, but FedEx Field is where it would be played. So that's interesting. Soccer on FedEx Field, which FedEx Field has turf issues, as we know. But these are all things that they're taking into consideration. So it was a very, very interesting event, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to participate on behalf of Double Take Sports. And it really gave me a different appreciation for soccer as well.
Yeah, I have been paying attention. I have a really good friend, Keontae Webb, who is a coach of a high school team and has produced a lot of college talent coming through his program. And just paying attention to soccer because of him, it is a pretty intense sport. And I don't think it gets its credit here because I think American football overshadows it sometimes. But I feel like soccer is really making a big push here in the States. And I would encourage people to watch it when it does come on. It's very competitive. It takes a little bit to understand a lot of the little nuances, but it's not very complicated. I think it'd be really good for the city. Now, when would this take place?
In 2026, July 2026. So that's a long time from now. But the decision on whether or not Washington, D.C. will be a host city is set to be in March of 2022.
Okay. So, with that said, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here. And it pertains to the Washington football team. Because I know that the mayor would love to have it downtown. If they can get a site and they get this particular cup, how about Washington go ahead and put the Washington football team back where they belong in the city and have a new stadium so that it is in the city? Because technically, I don't care it's Landover. Don't give me that Ralston, Maryland, whatever y'all want to call it. That is not what it is. It is Landover. So it is not DC. They would love for it to be in the city, for the festivities to be in the city of Washington. You think that could be possible?
I was looking at something online about that. They did say that would definitely be a good driver for a new stadium, but even if they did get approval, there would be no way it could be done by the time of the event.
Yeah, it'd be if you want it done right, it definitely would take some time. Just a thought. Got to throw some stuff in there. You know what I mean?
No, you know what?
But I like that, and I hope that they do get it because I think it'd be great for the city. It'd be great for the sport of soccer, especially as big of a deal 4th of July is. All the historical parts of it, I think they could play on that. Be great city-wise and great for the sport. So, I definitely would be cool with that for sure.
Yes, indeed. I know the city of DC would be, not the city, I can't say that, the District of Columbia
Yes.
would be excited as well.
Yes, indeed. And with that, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. And it's been a fun 2 weeks of NFL football. Lots of surprises. I mean, I didn't even think that the Baltimore Ravens would beat Kansas City. That was an exciting football game. So if you guys haven't been watching, I mean, from college to the NFL, we are seeing some great football, and it's only week 2. Carita, let them know what you got going on. You're so busy being the boss and all. What you got going on?
Washington football. You can catch my writing for that on the 3-point conversion. Also, writing about other sports and anything else I want to on Double Take Sports. That is my personal sports media platform. So make sure you're following that at DBL Take Sports, and the website is dbltakesports.com. And then you can just see whatever else I'm up to by following my personal Twitter at Carita C. Parks. Any podcast appearances, all of my writing, everything, I drop it there in one place.
And make sure y'all go ahead and follow her. There's a lot of great things going on. You find and see a lot of great things going on with our women media members. They're killing it. I'm going to be the first to say it. They are killing it. There's a lot of great content coming from them. And I feel like they're doing a better job than some of us men in covering our respective sports. So please do that. Do that. You can find all my work at sportsjourney.com. You can find the breakdown there. Also on all social or podcasting platforms. You can find me on the Not Bland Show. That is on Ghostcast. We talk a lot of NHRA. We'll talk some football as well. We just like to have fun. It's a more laid-back type of show. Just me running my mouth, saying what grinds my gears every now and then. I may write something at some point. Right now, it's just not moving me. So
Well,
you can follow me on.
Definitely do what moves you.
Yeah, I can't.
That's what life is about. Life is too short.
Exactly. So I'm gonna stay in my podcasting lane. I'm having fun doing that right now, and we're gonna keep it going. You can also follow me at NotBland21 on Twitter. That's where I tweet a lot of stuff. I'll post a lot of the NHRA stuff going on as we are in NHRA playoffs. So you don't want to miss that either. It's just a lot of fun stuff going on. Well, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, and we'll get at you again soon. I'm Dujunnea Bland. She's Carita Parks. This is The Breakdown.
Awesome.